Welcome to the Fans Ed Sports Show, hosted by 216 Mike and EG Laflare, also produced by Walt K Disney. This is a sports show with a college football focus that allows fans, that's you, to create the topics and discussions.
So what we need y'all to do is subscribe to our platforms. We are on all social media. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. As well, we stream live every Sunday night, and the show will be available on all podcast platforms every Monday morning. So if you missed part of tonight's show, go ahead and check us out tomorrow morning. And with that, let's get straight to it. Man, it has been a crazy weekend in college football. So we got a lot of information coming y'all way. Let's just hop right into it with some opening discussion. I know this happened this past week, but there is some updates, and I don't think we ever got to discuss it on the Fans Ed. But Bryan Harsin is out at Auburn. His era has ended. He's been there for I think 2 seasons or just under 2 seasons with a 9-12 record. So they let him go as the head coach. And Mike, I know you were talking before the show about some potential candidates. So what you got for us?
Yeah, they say Dion is a potential candidate, but they also been saying that Hugh Freeze. There was a report before the game. I want to say that Friday night saying that Hugh Freeze could be the lead candidate for this job, right? And after that performance that he just put on with Liberty, man, I mean, we could end up hearing something this week.
Uh, yeah, man. I like the Hugh Freeze hire. I don't think a guy like Dion should go there, man. I don't know if Dion's ready for the SEC quite yet, man. Because if you go to a SEC school and you just totally just mess it all up and do bad, it'll be hard to get another good job. So I don't want Dion to take that step quite yet, man. I don't know if he's ready for that pressure, but I like the Hugh Freeze hire for Auburn. Auburn is going to recruit. That's why they got rid of Harsin and as quick as they did because Auburn is going to recruit. Auburn is going to get that Georgia connect right there in the state of Alabama. Those are two good football areas, man. You got to be ready to come out there and coach. I like Hugh Freeze.
Oh yeah, definitely Hugh Freeze's SEC potential. And moving on, we got some records being set in football. So SMU versus Houston. It looks like I don't know much defense was played in this game. The score was 77-63, breaking the record for combined regulation points, 140 in the AP poll era, and this is since 1936. Some people say, "Well, do you think it was planned just to make some noise around that area at all?" Mike?
I mean, hey, maybe this put the Big 12 on notice because I believe isn't at least Houston going to the Big 12? So, I mean, the Big 12 is known for putting up points. So, hey, they saying some teams, if you don't have a good defense, but you have an offense that can put up points, all you need is a couple stops, man.
And offense is exciting, man. Offense is always exciting, man. I didn't watch that game, but I mean, to score a lot of points, it must have been a fun game to watch. But who ended up winning that game?
I'm pretty sure. I think it was SMU defeated Houston.
Ah,
Hmm.
nice, nice. It's got to be
Yeah,
some type of rivalry too, some type of Texas rivalry right there.
yeah, and it might be something in the water because shout out to the Houston Astros for winning the World Series. So hey, the two-time champs, and they won in Houston. So I know Texas is lit. Texas is definitely lit. And
Turn up.
Yeah, it was definitely a lit weekend. TCU had their big noon kickoff was there and everything for them. So it was a pretty wild weekend for Texas.
And speaking of TCU, we got a new AP poll update. Georgia, of course, coming in as number one with the most votes. Ohio State coming in as second. Michigan, and then TCU making their appearance in the top five as number four, the highest ranking since 2017. Tennessee, after that loss, they fall to 3 spots to number five. And we say bye bye to Bama and Clemson as they are out of the top five. Bama drops to number 10 and Clemson goes to 12. EG, I know I know your thoughts on the AP poll.
Man, but I mean, just looking at it, man, I see Alabama hung on and stayed in the top 10. But Clemson, man, it was only right, man. I don't their strength of schedule is not good enough, and it was always question marks behind um, what Clemson is doing, and I watched them play Notre Dame this weekend, man. They got behind too quick, and they had to not they didn't get the ball to Shipley enough, man. He couldn't run the ball because they were so behind. DJ had to pass the ball so much. Clemson just didn't look like a good football team. I think they weeded themselves out just in time. I think they would have been the softest team in the playoffs if they had made it. I made a poll last week, and I did select Clemson to be the first team to fall out of the top four. But like I said, it's interesting to see TCU creep in there because I also put TCU in that poll on who could be a team that can squeeze into the playoffs, and a lot of people wasn't voting TCU, but hey, they there right now. We don't know what'll happen, but they there right now. So let's see how it turn out, man.
Oh yeah, and Mike.
Man, you know me, I don't give a damn about the AP poll, man. Obviously, the AP poll shows that they're trash. I mean, you literally had to drop Clemson on 7 spots. I mean, if you have to drop them 7 spots, it just goes to show you weren't watching the games, which none of them can because they're too focused on covering the team that they're assigned to. So, like I said, the AP poll is just dumb.
Well, let's talk about something that matters. So the college football playoffs ranking will be released. The next round will be released November 8th. And I know there were a few were surprised by last week's release, but I think it will definitely be interesting to see how it's reshaped and revamped. And we have some pretty rank defying matchups coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I think anything could happen. And I'm just going to put a little GBO out there for y'all. Mike?
Oh man, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the rankings. I think that we all should just, think put our top four in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my top four. I think that Georgia, with their win, I think that they should go ahead to the number one spot. I think Ohio State at number two, and then that team up north, y'all know who that is. Put them at three, and then I think TCU needs to get some respect and possibly put them up there at four. But I mean, we're going to see because this committee really showed like they don't have that much respect. They had too much respect for Clemson, but then you also have. I want to see where UCLA is going to be. They only have one loss. I also want to see where does USC, do they creep up, in the top six or whatever, So this is going to be very interesting in telling us. Like I said, the first one isn't always, right because, November is chaos, man. Chaos always happens. That's what happened. And now it's going to tell us what they really value. We're going to see if it's going to set up for actual conference champions. Well, what are y'all for?
EG,
Right, right.
go ahead. I already know who you got as number one.
Yeah, I love Georgia at number one, man. Those guys, I think they have the best defense in the country, man. They came out and showed us why they were champions, and when you're a champion, you got targets on your back. So of course they got a few ugly games on their schedule, and people were having doubt, but they came out in this big game and they played lights out, man. They stuck with their game plan. They ran the ball. They controlled the clock. They just look good, man. It's gonna be hard for anybody to beat Georgia this year. And at number two, man, I don't even feel comfortable with Ohio State at two. I like Ohio State at three. I would like to put Michigan at two, and Ohio State three, and four TCU. They're undefeated. But just this weekend, watching even though it was a bad weather game, Ohio State played in. It was just kind of an ugly win for Ohio State, and I just feel like Michigan deserves to be ahead of them right now. I don't feel the dominance when watching Ohio State right now. I don't see the dominance, so I would like Michigan at two, Ohio State at three, and for TCU. I like that.
Running the ball 200 yards, averaging 5.9 yards, isn't 3 touchdowns on the ground from
Uh,
a team that's called passing team.
I mean, y'all beat
That's
a
not
1
good.
and 17, 21-7.
I mean,
When you looking at the wins, you have to look
I
at what type
understand
of
that,
wins.
but also, do you also know like you couldn't really throw in that? I think that
Yeah,
both teams stopped throwing the ball. So I
yeah.
mean, when you're talking about that in a running game and teams just running the ball, that's the type of game that you have. It's not going to be a whole blowout type game. It's not that type. I think the last time another team played in a torrential downpour like this, it was also a close game as well. But
Yeah.
I mean,
But
and it's crazy though because like you know a team could do this and we're going to punish them, but we don't punish another team for struggling and not blowing out at Kent State, or we don't punish them for struggling and not blowing out a Mizzou. But it is what it
my
is.
thing is, don't we look at the type of wins? We talked about this before the show. We looking at the
In
type
good
of
conditions
wins.
too, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we're
beautiful
looking at the type of
conditions.
wins. That just wasn't a good win for me. I also watched Michigan run the ball, and they also scoring 40 points while they're
Yeah.
running the ball.
While they were
So,
down at the half, struggling against Rutgers after a
yeah.
common opponent who actually blew Rutgers out. But yeah, I feel
But
you.
yeah, I'm just saying, like I saw Michigan run the ball and put up 40 points. So, I think Ohio State has the people to do that. It's just like the play calling, the coaching it has to all come together. So I want to see it all come together before I just say, hey, yeah, I don't think Ohio State is number 2 team in the country right now.
Okay. All right. As for my rankings, I'm gonna go with Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU for now. But TCU will lose to Texas. Michigan will lose to Ohio State, and Tennessee will go back up to fourth. All right.
I
That's what I want
was
to talk
like,
about.
hold on, are you just saying this one to get your team in? Like this
Yes,
what
just to
you
get
Yeah.
my
need to
team
get
in.
Tennessee
I
Yes.
in?
mean,
Hey, I
also,
feel it, man. I trust me, I done been there before, man. I done been
Bruh.
there.
hey, USC and UCLA also still have to play, and Notre Dame is looking good right now. USC got to play those guys too. So man, how it's
Yeah.
shaping up is interesting.
And don't forget Oregon. Mike, you mentioned that earlier. So
Yeah.
Oregon can that Bo Nix, I'm telling you. So they still gotta play
Oregon,
Utah.
Oregon, their season could just save Georgia. If Georgia take a L anywhere, just that Oregon win, it'll keep them right in that fight to still make the playoffs with one loss. So I think Georgia is safe.
Hey, anything can happen. I think Georgia, I don't think they're gonna get beat this season, but we'll see. Hey, they could lose to LSU. But speaking of Georgia, let's get into some week 10 recap.
Let's do it.
Tennessee, I mean, they take that L against Georgia. When I say they got smacked, Georgia dominated Tennessee in
Yeah.
Athens. Those telephone calls wasn't they didn't
That
keep
boy
it up
said,
too late.
that boy
Yeah,
Stetson said,
man.
They
call
did
me.
not.
They said
Look,
that his phone number got leaked.
yes.
Yeah, that boy was like all day.
Wow.
Them Vols fans, they crazy. They was up calling him all night. He said, hey, he still slept like a baby because he was ready to come in. He threw for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns, then ran for another. While Hooker, I mean, they say the Heisman candidate, it wasn't really his best performance, but they held him without a touchdown pass for the first time in 20 games. And he was also sacked 6 times. So he had a rough night. EG, I know you were there. So
Yeah.
go ahead and tell us a little bit about that atmosphere. I know you were. I know you were already rooting for Georgia. So go
Yeah, I
ahead and
mean,
let us know.
I picked Georgia to win, but I don't tell my coworkers and stuff that, I was telling them all week, I hope Tennessee beats y'all. I hope Tennessee beats y'all. But man, Georgia just came out and showed us why they're champions, man. They got the best defense in the country. Hooker was under pressure. They got their D lineman back. Georgia got their D lineman back. So the pressure was there all night. They had a guy, what was his name? I think Carter. His last name's Carter. He was out for Georgia for quite some time, and he came back that game. And man, the pressure was on Hooker. The guy was throwing interceptions. I mean, it was just a great defensive battle to hold a Tennessee team to 13 points. And Stetson, man, Stetson, man, he's got that fire under him, man. He comes down, he answers, he makes a lot of big plays, man. I like Stetson. He's not the biggest guy, not the best quarterback in the country, but the guy get it done, man. He's got that fire under him, man. And I really like his guts and stuff. He went back to the fade this week, man. He looked nice out there. He said, "Call him, man." He mean business right now. I don't see anybody that can beat those guys right now.
Oh yeah. And Mike, I know you were rooting for the Vols to come through. What's your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
I mean, honestly, I think that this was more telling about Tennessee, and actually, I'll say that this was more telling about Georgia. Man, Georgia was able to step up. They dominated this team. We saw the issues with Hendon Hooker. It looked like if his first read wasn't there, he just could, and he couldn't get to a second one. The pocket was being collapsed on him. We talked about how Georgia wasn't known for getting to the quarterback, coming in with not that many sacks on the quarterback. I want to say just a little bit over 10 or 11, and they got to the quarterback like what 6, 7 times. I mean,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous what they were able to do. Tennessee said that it had a lot to do with the crowd noise. They weren't ready for that. Maybe this game would have been different if it was on a neutral field. But, I mean, I keep hearing these things about this game time, anxiety and things like that. And it is real. But this is something that you have to start getting your players together for. You have to have – I know at my university at Ohio State that they do have therapists who help players with that game time anxiety. So I don't know if that's something that Tennessee wants to look into doing.
Man, last week on the show, I warned these guys. I warned you guys about that crowd in Athens, man. It's just so hard to play in Athens, man. Those people out there are crazy, man.
Them pom poms was going crazy, boy.
Yeah,
That's all I saw.
Rocking.
Oh yeah, it's crazy out there.
That stadium was rocking the whole time. But yeah,
man, you can hear it from everywhere in town, man. You can hear the stadium.
Hey, but don't count Tennessee out just yet. Don't count them out just yet.
Man, y'all need a lot to happen.
Yeah. Hey, miracles can happen. It's happened before, It's happened before.
It happens in college.
Speaking of upset losses, Alabama takes the L to LSU in OT. It's their second loss of the season, which is pretty surprising for this Nick Saban era. Jaden Daniels threw for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 95 yards and a score. And Bryce Young, he went for 328 yards with 1 touchdown and threw an interception in this game. Mike, what did we see in this game different from Jaden Daniels? I know at the beginning of the season we were talking about we're not too sure about him, but what happened in this game?
I mean, Jaden Daniels made plays when he needed to make plays. He was able to make plays with his legs, was able to extend drives, extend the pocket. And let's just say that Brian Kelly in overtime, putting faith in his quarterback, saying, hey, I'm going to show that you're the guy, and getting and converting on that 2 point to just say, hey, we're not going to just keep tying it with Bama. We're just going to go ahead and win the game right here. I thought that was telling, man. The issues that we've been talking about all year, Bama's O-line, the wide receivers, Bama not having those guys. And they just weren't able to make it happen. Couldn't catch balls, couldn't get open. It just seemed like LSU's defense was putting the clamps on them. And then, former Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young just could not get it done. Passing for below 50%, man. That's crazy, man. I mean, I was told that he was the best quarterback in college football, and you're supposed to elevate the team. I'm told that you're able to extend them plays and them drives with your legs, and I didn't see him making those plays that I've been told on this show multiple times.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I,
hey,
I agree with you, Mike. I agree, man. Like I said, I just felt like Alabama, they didn't do a good job in the red zone. They settled for way too many field goals when it was time to go down there and score. Seems like the go-to guys for Bryce Young at wide receiver changes week to week. Like he's not throwing it to the same guy. He can't depend on one guy or one or two guys that he know can make a play. Every week there's a different player with the same with a lot of catches. So I was reading that comment, and they just didn't score enough touchdowns, man. They got in the red zone a few times. I think they kicked 4 field goals, man. Should have some of them. You got to score touchdowns, man. And they let LSU hang on, which I knew LSU would hang on with Bama. I knew it would be that close game, but I just figured the results would go a little different. I saw when Bryce when it was regular when it was in fourth quarter before overtime, and he drove it down there, and they needed a touchdown, and they got another field goal, and that's just what determines the game, man. You were kicking too many field goals. You got to score some touchdowns. But good
yeah,
job, by Jalen Daniels though, man.
yeah.
The guy. It's hard to game plan for his feet right now. People cannot tell how fast the guy is. He got that deceptive speed, man. He's running that ball on guys, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to apologize because I did say Jay Daniels, he was just a one type of quarterback, but he did throw the ball and he
Yeah.
ran.
I mean,
So
I
Yeah,
thought Bama was just gonna take care of business, man. But I mean, it just seemed like those issues that they were having, the way Nick Saban is, the way he runs that program, the way that they normally are after a loss, that's just something that I thought was gonna overtake, and it's just something
absolutely.
that didn't happen. Just something that just couldn't happen, man. So
shoot,
And
just Bama, you can their playoff hopes kiss them goodbye, man. It's a wrap.
it's over
and
with.
and Jaden Daniels, another Cali QB, by the way. We always mention on our page about those California players.
Yeah.
It's another California QB who's putting on a show. It's a lot of them out there right now. A lot of California players out there right now.
Hey, we
Yep.
talking about Houston. There's something in the water in Cali. And,
Hey,
and for our last game, Wake Forest takes that L against NC State. I told y'all, Wake Forest. I had that defense last week on fantasy,
Man.
bruh. And so that's why I had to go ahead and go with NC State on that. They walk away with the win. MJ Morris threw for 210 yards, and for the Demon Deacons, Hartman, he struggled, but I mean, I. I
another bad day
He
for
yeah.
Hartman.
Another bad, yeah. It's just another bad
It's
game. I thought he was
just
going to bounce back. Mike, what's your thoughts?
does Hartman have any more eligibility? Like because I don't think that he wants to come out after this, man. Wake Forest just continues to let everybody down. There here's the kicker. How are they able to compete against Clemson? How?
Clemson
How
is
were
not
they
that
able?
good.
Yeah, like how were they able to do all of the stuff? They were able to go point to point, all of that. I mean, this just keeps telling me more and more about the ACC than it's telling me about Wake Forest. Shout out to NC State, another game that I got wrong. So
Yeah. Hey man, let me tell you about Wake Forest. They know how good Sam Hartman is. They're overusing Sam Hartman. The man threw the ball 48 times in that game. There was one guy with over 10 carries in their backfield. One guy. And they're just overusing him, man. He had 397 yards, 2 TDs. That's just way too much passing. 48 times, that's way too much.
so
Hand the
his little
ball off.
arm can't take it, huh?
Mm.
He can't take it, man. And I guess he's the most talented person on the team, so they want to keep giving him the ball, keep letting the game come to him, I guess. But it's way too much passing. But shout out to NC State, man. Without their quarterback, guy filling in, got the job done, man. They had 3 interceptions on their defense. Shout out NC State.
Oh, yeah. The Demon Deacons just managed 17 yards rushing. So
Mm.
you're exactly right, EG.
Dang,
Exactly right. All
that's
right.
sad, bro.
And with the pick totals, EG comes in first with 2 for 1, while I am 1 for 2, And Mike, you took that 0-3.
I got the goose egg, man. You know, I
Goose
sucked it up.
egg.
Hey, it is what it is,
It is
man.
what it
It
It's
is.
the
happens to the
first.
best
Hey,
of
it's
us.
the first time being below 500 this year. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Hey, college football is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking, getting into week 11 preview. First up, we got TCU taking on Texas. Saturday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Can TCU remain undefeated? Will this punch in their ticket for the college football playoffs? Some teams hope so, including Tennessee. So we got the battle of the quarterbacks, Max Duggan and Quinn Ewers. They face off. TCU won against Texas Tech 34-24, and it seems like everything is going in the Mac's favor. Mike, what you think? Who you going with on this game?
Man, I mean,
It's
so it
tough.
was like Texas was. This is tough because I was watching the Texas game against Kansas State, and I'm like, man, they're just, the first half they're just going all out, right? And next thing you know, Kansas State started rolling back, but they just don't. They got Adrian Martinez doing this fumbling like he normally do, just being Adrian Martinez, man. Like he just ended up not showing up. I thought he was going to be better at Kansas State, but he still has the same issues that he was having at Nebraska. But Texas still was able to hold off, the surge to the end. I mean, golly, you're telling me to count out Max Duggan.
That guy
And they
got
got
some type of
some, bro,
swagger.
they got some burners. They have some burners. I think that the quarterback, Max Duggan, is a better quarterback than Adrian Martinez. Y'all thought I was gonna say Quinn Ewers, didn't
I,
I?
I was
I
waiting on
thought that
I
was
knew y'all
coming.
thought I
I'm
got you
like,
there.
hold up, hold up.
Yeah. Nah, man, I'm not gonna say that, but man, and then that's the thing. Texas at home, right? Quinn Ewers, Bijan Robinson, like. I'm gonna have
Some
to go with
NFL
I can't.
guys.
I'm gonna have to go with Texas on this, man. But man, uh, I wouldn't be mad if TCU pulls it out, man. But I'm gonna have to go Texas with the upset. Quinn Ewers make some beautiful throws, make some beautiful passes. Hopefully, his wide receivers could catch some of these balls this week because that's going to also be crucial. Because I did see Quinn Ewers fitting some balls in there, and his wide receivers dropping those passes. So. Give me Texas in this game.
Uh-oh. EG,
Yeah,
who you got?
yeah. I'm gonna agree with Mike. I'm gonna pick Texas as well, just because of a talent standpoint. When you look across the board at Texas's talent, you don't have to even you don't have to view what they've done in the past game. Just look at how the talent matches up with TCU talent. This is a lot of NFL talent on Texas roster right now, and and teams that like teams. It's some good teams out there, but sometimes the better athletes just show up, and that's exactly what I felt was going to happen in the Alabama LSU game. LSU had the athletes that match up with Bama. They are a school that can recruit like Alabama, even though the coaching is up in the air. They have the athletes that match it up, and that's why I'm going with Texas in this game versus TCU. I think Texas have better athletes. I think it's a lot more future NFL players on Texas's roster right now. I think they upset TCU.
The last couple of games for TCU have been pretty close. I mean, they're kind of neck and neck. So I think this game is definitely going to go back and forth. If Tennessee wouldn't have lost against Georgia, I would have went for TCU. But since they did, I'm definitely going to go for Texas. But I think it's
All
definitely
right.
going to be maybe some high scoring game. So I'm looking forward to it. And for our last match,
Ooh, that's a
have
tough one.
Bama taking on Ole Miss. Bama did just take that L against LSU this past week, and Ole Miss with their, I think is Ole Miss. I want to say 9-1 or 9-2. So I missed that note on that one. But Ole Miss, they have had a pretty nice season this upcoming season, or this past season in the last couple of games. So I'm kind of hoping that Bama comes back and take away the win on this one. but I wouldn't be surprised if they fall short to Ole Miss. EG, who you got?
Man.
In this game, man, I got Alabama. Alabama has been through it all, man. Alabama has been battle tested week in and week out, man. It's been a tough road for them. So I'm gonna go with Alabama. Ole Miss is still questionable about who they've beat this year. They didn't beat a lot of good teams, and every time they faced a good team, they've lost. So I'm gonna go with Alabama in this game. I think it's gonna be hell to beat Bama the rest of the way, man. I'm going Alabama.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Alabama as well in this game. One thing that Ole Miss strength this year is not their passing; it's their running game, which is definitely goes in favor of Bama's defense. Right? Um, it sucks, man. Here we're talking about, can Bama beat in Ole Miss? Can they get a win against Ole Miss? Right now, Ole Miss is looking at this game. They watched LSU and they're like, man, if LSU can do it, we can do it. People are saying, hey, Tennessee, they haven't done it in years. They can do it, So everybody just, this is going to be their Super Bowl. This is what Ole Miss is playing for right now, If they win this game, maybe they hope LSU slips up and they take over the West. You never know. So we could see more chaos. So
Hey, Lane Kiffin. Hey, he's a trickster. You can never quite game plan for him. Now he's a trickster.
Ole Miss lost to LSU 20-45. So
Yikes.
yeah. Drizzy Dez says, forget Tennessee making the playoffs. Hey, where there's a will, there's a way. All right. So
Nah, it's definitely still possible with their resume. It's definitely still possible.
we can.
they ain't got no hard games left. So
Nope.
Because Michigan and Ohio State has to play, and that's what's gonna sell it. Michigan, Ohio State
they better
playing.
hope that's not a blowout too.
Mm.
We'll see. Who you think will be down at the half on the Michigan Ohio State, or are we going in tied in halftime?
Don't ask me,
Man.
because I haven't saw Ohio State play good in the first half this year.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they try to get up early on them, and that's to me the game plan to beat that team up north, man. Get them off rhythm, get them out of their game. We still try to see JJ McCarthy try to open up that pass game, and honestly, he didn't look too bad. His receivers just look like they can't catch the ball either. So we'll see. I don't like their chances from coming from behind if they're down like 2 scores and another team is continuously scoring as well. So
And I still like their ability to run the ball on y'all, man. I just
yeah,
like it.
it's just who's going to get the most stops. That's
Right.
what it's going to come down to. And the thing is where Ohio State had the issue last year, they only got one stop, and that was an interception. That team up north was able to march the ball down the field, not worrying about ever getting stopped. And this year, I do think that Ohio State will force some stops. So that's the thing.
Drizzy Dez says, I thought Arkansas will beat Liberty last week.
Well, you thought wrong. We're not here to discuss the Razorbacks. We're on the losing end of the sticks. We will not discuss it.
There is always a chance to bounce back. They could beat LSU. So
Hey, hey, the record is 0-0 when we play LSU every single year. That's the rivalry, battle of the Golden Boot. It
yep.
won't be an easy game for neither team. We also have Ole Miss and Missouri, a team that's played well against good teams. So it's scary for us right now, man. Yeah, it's that type of year for us, man. We got to get better athletes up there.
Oh yeah. He also said, what resume does Tennessee have?
I think they have about four ranked W's. I think Pitt was ranked. Alabama was
Bama.
top 10.
We gotta come on. We can't.
LSU,
We're not doing when they were ranked. We're doing are
LSU.
they ranked,
I
right?
mean, no, I mean, but when you add up their wins, they will say that was a ranked win. They will say
Mm,
that because the
by the
team was
college
ranked.
football playoff committee's
No,
rankings.
it wasn't their rankings, but
Okay,
still.
so
Okay, if you count their rankings, they still have one of our top 10 teams.
okay, there you go.
And they beat
That's fine.
LSU, who is also top 10 now. Yeah.
Hey,
Tennessee
yep.
beat
Yeah.
those guys too.
Yeah, we're gonna see if Alabama stays in the top 10, man.
So what do y'all think? What do y'all think? What do y'all
Mm.
think? Make sure y'all comment on social
Yeah,
media.
I want to know what
Hey,
everybody else is thinking that's watching, man. Like,
yes.
what do y'all think
We
about
want
this chaos week, man?
It's chaotic
yes.
right now, man.
Yes.
Anything could happen.
Anything could possibly happen.
You know what's very strange? Notre Dame is 6-3. Like it seems like when they were losing, it all happened at once, and they kind of turned it around. I think if he finishes with only 3 losses or maybe 4 losses, that's a pretty good season for Freeman in his first year.
For Marcus Freeman, yeah. I mean, they
Yeah,
still have to go to USC, so they could be the
yeah,
spoilers of USC as
right,
well.
right.
I mean, like honestly, I want to say this, man, because USC has been down and UCLA has been down, and I was worried about like, okay, USC because of Lincoln Riley might come up, but UCLA they're not going to be anything. And actually, man, I'm glad that they're going to bring something to this conference and that they're actually doing something. But I'm also interested to see how these football teams, when they have to play at a Northwestern and things like that type of weather in November. I want to see how that looks, man,
Yeah,
because they're going to have more than just that passing game that's been helping them along as well. So,
hey, that's 4 possible Big Ten teams in the top 10 right now. Even though they don't come to next year, just look at the competition of the Big Ten. Like it's 4 teams in the top 10 right now. That's a pretty legit conference. That's the same amount as the SEC right now.
man, I'm about to be pretty excited to see some games and how this is going to go and how this is going to also help recruiting as well. So, y'all got anything? Y'all got any other? Okay, what else
Oh,
did
we got a
he do?
comment.
I mean, honestly, I thought the best thing was for him to leave Clemson last year. I mean, because like I said, for some reason, Trevor Lawrence's best year seemed to be his
Freshman or
freshman year,
sophomore year.
Freshman year. Yep.
and then it started to regress. He came in his sophomore year, right, and just threw multiple picks like in the
Yeah,
game, like it was just ridiculous, and we weren't seeing a progression. We were seeing coaches that coached him at the Elite 11 saying that his footwork didn't look the same. Like we were just hearing all of these things of he was regressing. And look at DJU. His best game was his freshman year, even though they didn't win it because that was really Brett Venables' defense that lost that, right? But it was his best game was his freshman year where he learned how to play quarterback somewhere else. So I mean, I think that this is more telling on Clemson. And then, he tried to Kelly Bryan, my guy. He tried to Kelly Bryan DJU, and it didn't happen. It didn't work. You soon as you put your little freshman out there, Club Nick, what do you do? Throw a pick.
Yep.
yeah. He tried to make him look, but yeah,
But
man.
but
I
you
just
and
don't. I don't
then
know
and
what's
then
going on
DJ
with him.
throws a pick after that, after you put him back out there. You're messing with the quarterback's confidence. It already shows that you're not confident in him and you're not doing anything. Like that O-line is trash or whatever. I watched Notre Dame run up and down the field, and all we heard was Clemson had this front seven. Their front seven, their D-line is all it is. I didn't see it.
Didn't show up.
It was non-existent, bro. What Notre Dame had 200-yard rushers on them.
Yeah,
They had that man Drew Pine out there looking like a world beater, man. Come on, man.
Man, I just damn Clemson. Clemson, I mean, it was time for it, man. I felt like they were a fluke top 5 team anyway. I felt that, man. I haven't saw anything just too great from them besides they have a decent defense and Will Shipley. Other than that, man, the offense just hasn't looked great week in and week out. It just don't look great. And I think DJ should transfer, but is he going back to Cali? Is he gonna go to UCLA or is he gonna go to US? Where could he go?
Drizzy
What
Dad's
year?
asking if he going to Ohio State.
Man,
Uh
look, man, I like DJ, man. I'm a DJ guy, but I just find it hard for a guy who hasn't been in like McCord's not a bad quarterback. He's a 5-star quarterback, right? I
yeah.
just find it hard for a 5-star quarterback that's been in the Ryan Day system for 5 years that actually knows the playbook. Ryan Day is going to sit there and say, "Hey, I'm going to teach you the playbook gradually and you're going to be our starter." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Right.
understand he did it with Justin Fields, but he ain't had no choice. Like,
Yeah, he
he
didn't have
had
a
no,
guy.
yeah, he ain't had no choice, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference now. And then you have another 5-star quarterback behind McCord and Devin Brown. So, like, and then you're bringing in another 4-star quarterback that's going to be a freshman stepping on campus as well. The room is deep. That's gonna be, I would think, would be a crazy battle, be a nice battle. Competition brings out the best, man. Iron sharpens iron, and that's why you've been having top college quarterbacks at Ohio State for the past few years.
Hmm.
And getting into our last segment, one of my favorite ones, the game ball. So we give it out each week to that college player or team that, stood out. So I can go first. I picked the cornerback, speaking of Clemson, from Clemson, Benjamin Morrison I'm sorry, not Clemson. Speaking of Clemson's loss, Notre Dame, Benjamin Morrison, he had two key interceptions in Notre Dame's upset of the number 4 Clemson.
Right.
That defense definitely put in work and, like we've been talking about, just capitalized off that game. So, of course, I wanted to give it to the whole Notre Dame's defensive team, but I mean, they definitely put in work, and especially for a prime time spot against top 5 teams. So, and definitely knocked them out the rankings and helped Tennessee up. So, appreciate that. EG, who you got?
My game ball will go to Georgia defense, man. They played the best offense in the country. And they showed them, hey, defense wins championships. We trying to show you why we're the champions, man. I think they sacked Hooker 6 or 7 times, man. Game ball go to those guys. Way to come in there with a game plan, what to know what to do against a guy like him. Put him under pressure, make him make quick decisions, make him go to that second read, and he didn't look good, man. So shout out to Georgia defense getting to the quarterback, showing that that's the best defense in the country. I still agree. Held them boys to 13 points. I think Tennessee
Woo!
averages around 50 points a game, by the way.
Yep. Didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter.
Mm.
Mike, who you got?
Man, somebody got their offense together this past weekend, it looked like. And it was Iowa. Shocking, right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Iowa with their win over the Boilermakers. Their defense was stout, holding Purdue to basically almost nothing, man. And got to give a shout out to their freshman running back, Caleb Johnson. Had 22 carries, 200 yards, with a basically a 9-yard average, and he got 1 touchdown. But then also, he got a little 17 yards in the passing game as well. I mean, as a true freshman, doing this in the Big Ten, where, it's all about trench play. I want to say shout out to this man. They were able to put the team on their back, not just on the defense, but on this young man's back. And hopefully they're able to continue this progression with their offense. And now they have something to build on. They got a freshman running back. And when I was good, That's what they're known for, having a good running back.
Yep.
And they're able to build the play action pass off of that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Also, and a little shout out to Kansas for bowl eligibility this year. Look at them coming on
Hey,
up,
yeah,
coming
man.
on up.
I just hate
what?
it for them, man, because like they starting quarterback and got hurt, then they started like getting riddled with injuries, man. I just hate it for them, man, and I hate it for that program. But I hope that people and some recruits can still see, what they were able to build. And I think that sometimes we look at a loss or we look at a football game, but we take things out of we don't add the context in it. We just leave some of the context out because if this player doesn't get hurt, how is this game? And
Right,
that's
right.
one thing that this committee also takes into account when it comes to these rankings as well.
Hey, shout out Jeff Long, man. Our former AD is now Kansas's AD. Shout out to him. He turning things around out there. I think that's more of his level to succeed. So shout out to Jeff Long.
Oh yeah. And I think that's pretty much what we have for today's show. Make sure you are following us on all social media platforms because we are coming at you every single day of the week with content, content, content. So make sure you like and retweet, reshare, do whatever. Send it to your friends, family, whatever. And if you happen to miss parts of tonight's podcast, you can catch us on your favorite podcast platform tomorrow morning, as well as if you want to play back the show, you can catch us on YouTube as well. And with that, if no one has anything else, we are out of there.